Look, let's be real for a minute. When you think of Houston, you might think of oil money, NASA, or maybe even Beyoncé. But for a lot of young cats living deep in the city's forgotten corners, H-Town has a different name, the murder capital of the South. It's a place where the rules of the game have been completely flipped upside down. It ain't about who has the flashiest car or the biggest chains anymore. The old-school hustle of stacking paper has been replaced by a much darker currency. Respect is now measured in violence, in bodies, in what the streets call hats or souls. It's a terrifying shift, where a young man's reputation isn't built on his grind, but on his willingness to take a life. This ain't just talk. It's a brutal reality playing out every single day. The mentality is simple and savage: kill or be killed. A minor dispute, a sideways glance, a few words exchanged on social media, that's all it takes to spark a war. We're talking about kids who feel they have to prove their manhood by showing they aren't afraid to pull a trigger. When you're hungry and you see no other way out, the desperation hits different. As one dude from the block told me, when you hungry, man, ain't no food in the eyes. That desperation creates a pressure cooker environment where any small thing can and will set it off, leading to another family mourning another lost child. I've heard the stories directly from the source. In neighborhoods where opportunities are ghosts, violence becomes the only tangible way to feel powerful. It's a twisted form of validation. Getting a hat makes you a legend in your circle, but it also puts a permanent target on your back. This isn't about building a future, it's about surviving the next 24 hours. The focus has shifted so drastically that money has become secondary. You can have a pocket full of cash, but if you're seen as soft or unwilling to stand on business, you're just a target waiting to be robbed, or worse. It's a dangerous game with no winners, only a long list of casualties and grieving mothers. This shift didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of neglect, poverty, and a system that has failed these communities time and time again. When you feel like the world has turned its back on you, you create your own world with its own set of rules. In this world, respect is the ultimate prize, and violence is the only way to claim it. The older generation might have glorified the hustle, but this new generation glorifies the hit. It's a sad and scary truth, but it's the reality for too many young people in Houston who are just trying to find their place, even if that place is at the top of a very dangerous food chain. Now, every movement has a soundtrack, and for this new era of street life in Houston, that soundtrack is drill music. Let's be clear, drill didn't start in H-Town. It crawled out of the south side of Chicago, a raw and unfiltered reflection of the violence happening there. But like everything else, it found its way down to Texas and took on a life of its own. Houston drill is gritty, it's aggressive, and it's unapologetically direct. The lyrics aren't just stories, they're often real-time accounts of conflicts, taunts aimed at rivals, and scorecards of street beef. It's become the primary way for these artists to document their lives and claim their territory, both musically and literally. The influence of this music is undeniable. It's a classic chicken or the egg scenario. Does the music create the violence, or does the violence create the music? The truth is, it's both. Drill artists are rapping about the life they're living, but in doing so, they're also fueling the fire. When you drop a track dissing another neighborhood or bragging about a recent altercation, you're not just making a song, you're sending a direct challenge. Social media then amplifies that challenge to a massive audience, and pride and reputation demand a response. The music becomes a driver of the very culture it claims to only reflect, creating a feedback loop where lyrics turn into headlines. There's even beef over who gets to claim the crown for starting the Houston drill scene. You've got different artists and their crews all arguing online, in blogs and on the streets about who the true face of drill is in the city. This isn't just about bragging rights, it's about credibility and status. In this world, being seen as the originator or the most authentic voice gives you a level of respect that can translate into both fear and admiration. But this competition also adds another layer of tension to an already volatile situation. The arguments over who's the king of Houston drill often spill over from the recording booth into the real world, with deadly consequences. At the end of the day, drill music is the modern-day war drum for these street conflicts. It's a way for these young men to process their trauma, express their anger, and tell their stories when they feel like no one else is listening. But it's a double-edged sword. While it provides an outlet and a potential path to success for some, it also keeps them tethered to the cycle of violence. The very authenticity that makes their music popular is the same authenticity that could get them killed or locked up. As the scene grows, so does the body count, and the number of young men heading to prison, leaving everyone to wonder if the beat will ever stop. To really understand what's happening in Houston, you have to go to the source. You have to walk through the neighborhoods where this culture was born and bred. Take Acres Homes, the 4-4 or the 790 as they call it. People from there will tell you straight up, it's a place where you have to grow up fast. It's a struggle, but there's also a deep sense of pride. It's what one resident called the Murder Houston, Texas, a place where the rules are different. Life is raw and unfiltered, and you learn to navigate a world that feels light years away from the gleaming skyscrapers downtown. It's a community trying to make the best of a tough situation, but the pressure is always on.
You know, the thing is, even with all the struggle, there's still a lot of pride in where we come from. Like, yeah, it's rough, but it's home. We look out for each other, but you always gotta be on your guard. That's just how it is.
Then you have the historic Third Ward. It's a place of contradictions. You can feel a deep sense of community and black history on one corner, and then feel the tension of street politics on the next. A local explained it to me perfectly. It can be the most dangerous or the safest place in the world, all depending on who you're with. Interestingly, some folks there say the focus has started to shift back toward getting money over the last couple of years, with less of the senseless violence. But the ghost of past conflicts still lingers, and the potential for things to pop off is always just below the surface. It shows that change is possible, but the roots of the struggle run deep.
Man, I've been around here a long time. Used to be, you couldn't walk down certain blocks after dark, no way. Now, some of these young cats, they trying to do better, focus on making money, not just beefing all the time. But, you know, the old stuff don't just disappear, it's still there, just waiting.
But then there are places that feel like they're straight out of a war movie. I heard about one block known simply as the Station. The description I got was chilling, super drug-infested, super murder. Things got so bad on that single block that HPD had to create a dedicated task force just to patrol it 24/7. Think about that. An entire police unit for one street. That tells you the level of chaos and danger that has become normalized in certain pockets of the city. It's a stark reminder that while some areas might be seeing improvement, others are caught in a downward spiral that feels almost impossible to escape. And let's not forget South Park in southeast Houston, one of the birthplaces of H-Town's legendary rap culture, home to groups like the Ghetto Boys. It's a place with a rich history, but it's also ground zero for the generational cycles of violence. The beefs that started with fathers and uncles in the 90s are now being inherited by their sons and nephews. The names and faces change, but the conflicts remain the same. These neighborhoods aren't just locations on a map. They are living, breathing entities, each with its own unique struggles, codes, and stories of survival. They are the heart of Houston, for better and for worse.
One of the most tragic parts of this whole situation is how the violence becomes a family heirloom, passed down from one generation to the next. It's a real-life generational curse. An OG from the neighborhood might have gotten into it with someone 20 years ago. That OG might be dead, in jail, or out of the life completely, but the beef doesn't die with him. His younger cousin or his nephew, who is now in the streets, inherits that conflict. The other side sees the family resemblance, they know the last name, and suddenly a new generation is fighting an old war they didn't even start. It's a cycle of retaliation that ensures the conflict will never stop.
This is how trauma becomes embedded in a community's DNA. Kids are born into a world where their enemies are predetermined. They grow up hearing stories about what happened to their uncle or their older brother, and they feel a sense of duty to seek revenge, or at the very least, to protect themselves from the inevitable retaliation. There's no room for peace talks or forgiveness when the wounds are constantly being reopened.
This isn't just about individual choices. It's about being trapped in a historical narrative of violence that's almost impossible to rewrite. Each new shooting just adds another chapter to the same sad story.
And in today's world, social media pours gasoline on this generational fire. It's the new battleground where beefs are escalated in real time for the world to see. Going on Instagram Live to taunt your rivals might get you a lot of views, but as one young man wisely put it, them views will be the death of you. Every post, every comment, every live stream is a potential provocation. It shrinks the world and eliminates any chance of de-escalation. Before social media, you might have to cross town to find your enemy. Now they're in your pocket, on your screen, and you can disrespect them with the push of a button, guaranteeing a violent response.
This combination of old beefs and new technology creates a lethal cocktail. The desire for clout or online fame becomes intertwined with street credibility. Young men feel pressured to perform their toughness for a digital audience, not realizing that the same platform that makes them feel powerful also makes them an easy target. It broadcasts their location, their routines, and their affiliations to everyone, including those who wish them harm.
The line between online posturing and real-world consequences has been completely erased, and the cycle of violence spins faster and more furiously than ever before, trapping another generation in its deadly grip.
In these neighborhoods, the relationship between the community and the police isn't just strained, it's completely broken. There's a deep, profound distrust that goes back decades. People do not see the police as a source of protection. In fact, for many, the sight of a police car brings more fear than relief.
When you talk to folks on the street, they'll tell you straight up they don't call 911. They believe that calling the cops will either lead to nothing happening or, even worse, make the situation more dangerous for them.
It's a sentiment born from years of feeling harassed, profiled and abandoned by the very system that's supposed to serve and protect them. This isn't just paranoia, it's based on lived experience and observable facts. The clearance rate for crimes in Houston, especially for things like burglary and theft, is incredibly low. People see their homes get broken into and their property stolen, and they know the chances of getting it back or seeing justice are slim to none. This reinforces the idea that you have to handle things yourself.
If the system won't protect your property or your life, the streets will create their own system of justice. That system is brutal, unforgiving, and relies on the same violence that the police are supposed to prevent.
I've heard chilling statements from young men who believe the police would literally watch them die. One person told me that if a shootout happened, the cops would just sit in their cars and wait for it to be over before they even got out. Another said they feared the police as much as their rivals, stating they'd kill us too.
When that's the perception, that law enforcement is either unwilling or unable to help, or is an active threat itself. It leaves the community in an impossible position. They are caught between the dangers of street life on one side and a law enforcement system they feel has utterly failed them on the other.
This lack of trust creates a vacuum that is filled by street code. Without a formal justice system to rely on, people turn to retaliation as the only means of accountability. If someone harms you or your family, you don't file a police report. You plan your get back. This is why the cycle of violence is so hard to break.
It's not just about individual choices, it's systemic failure. Until there is a fundamental shift in policing and a genuine effort to rebuild trust and provide real protection, the streets will continue to enforce their own brutal brand of law and order, and the cycle will continue. Even in the darkest corners of Houston, amidst all the violence and despair, there are glimmers of hope. There are young men and women who see the destructive cycle for what it is and are desperately trying to break free. They've seen enough friends die or go to jail, and they've decided they want a different future for themselves and their community.
For many of them, music isn't just a way to glorify the struggle, it's a potential escape route. It's a way to turn their pain into poetry, their trauma into tracks that can inspire others and, just maybe, pay the bills and move their family to a safer place.
This isn't an easy path. It requires an incredible amount of focus and determination. When everyone around you is caught up in the street life, choosing to stay in the studio, go to a job, or focus on your art is an act of rebellion. It means ignoring the taunts, avoiding the old hangouts, and cutting off friends who are still pulling you down.
I've spoken to young artists who are using their platform to tell a different story, one of resilience and aspiration. They're trying to show the kids coming up behind them that there's another way to be successful, a way that doesn't involve catching a body or ending up in a cage. These individuals become unlikely role models. They channel their energy into something positive, whether it's music, community organizing, or just being a stable presence for the younger kids on their block. They understand the pain because they've lived it, which makes their message that much more powerful.
They're not preaching from a pulpit, they're speaking from the heart, showing through their actions that it's possible to want more out of life. They are the ones trying to uplift each other, organizing cookouts, mentoring aspiring rappers, and promoting a message of unity over division, even when it feels like they're swimming against a tidal wave of violence.
Ultimately, this is where the real change comes from within the community itself. While the city and the police have a massive role to play, the seeds of hope are being planted by the very people who have been most affected by the trauma. They are the ones hustling for a better tomorrow, fighting to prove that your environment doesn't have to be your destiny. It's a long, hard fight, and the odds are stacked against them. But their determination to build something new out of the rubble of the old is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And that, right there, is a story worth telling.